All right, hey folks, this is episode number 2 of Beer and Horrors, and I am fortunate enough to have one of my best friends here today, Tomco, who I work with, and is good folks. So what we're going to talk a little bit about today is basically kind of nihilism. He's going to argue with me about that. Don't jump in yet. You get to talk soon. So we're going to talk a little bit about nihilism. We're going to talk a little bit about people reaching their potential. We're going to talk a little bit about what kind of path we actually leave, which is kind of horrifying in a certain way. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Tomco.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Hi. My name is Stu Hawk, and this is my podcast about all the weird, crazy, spooky things that scare me and my guests, and the one thing that helps us forget all about them. Ladies and gentlemen, beer freaks. Dun, dun, dun.
Thank you, Ira Glass. Big fan.
You're welcome. Fucking welcome.
So how is this you want me to go? You just want me to start going into the story? You want me to go into why this
we've got drinks in front of us. We're gonna before we get into those, though, what we're talking about, what we're drinking, we're gonna start off with what scares you? What's worrying you? I know we had a little bit of a discussion before this, but I want the people to know what's bothering you.
We absolutely did, and obviously, being a millennial nowadays, a lot of things bother me. But
You're a millennial? You look like a baby boomer.
It's the alcohol. It's a good preservative.
I don't think that's the way it works.
I mean, you've seen Mick Jagger, right?
Sure.
All right. Hey, good example. I guess I'm the modern day Mick Jagger, just not successful.
I think he's from the greatest generation.
He's a millennial.
What is he, 120?
Probably. But no, I guess we discussed a few things, the environment, the economy, everything else coming up. But I think one of my biggest fears would be probably working hardest and reaching my potential and being wildly successful, and yet still in this cruel, uncaring world, having none of it matter.
Jesus. So this show, by the way, is generally going to be about fucking weird, wild, insane things. But I like what Ty and Ty. The reason that I like this is because this is something that I think a lot of people can relate to, especially now. Like we're all surrounded all the time by fucking Instagram and Facebook, where we're looking at people living their quote unquote their best lives. I'm living my best life. My best life. And you know, it's while they're traveling, and then what you don't see is like 11 months of the year they're fucking working their asses off somewhere else, or they may be a trust fund. Who knows? But yeah, I mean, we all work. You would like to think we all work hard, and here we are, and we're surrounded by things that we want to achieve, by more things we want to achieve every day, because I think the goalposts are being moved every day. Like, it used to be like, you remember the American Dream? Like,
I don't. I wasn't born during it.
No, well, I mean, neither was I. But like 2.5 kids, what was it? A chicken in every pot? Like, fucking, you drive up to the driveway and you have a house. That was the American Dream. The fucking American Dream now is like, you start a fucking social media channel that allows you to put duck lips on your face.
Very true. I mean, I'd still argue it's a chicken in every pot. We kill a lot more chickens nowadays, which, if I'm honest, fuck those chickens. I'm for killing chickens plenty to sustain us.
Jesus. All right. Well, we might get to that later too. I'd really like to hear about your vendetta against chickens, but
nothing against them. They're delicious.
Fair. Okay, so I think that is something that a lot of people can relate to anyway. Going back, not the chicken killing. I mean, maybe, but
everyone's choked the chicken at some point in time.
Jesus Christ. There's only about half the population that's choked the chicken. So we're going to get back to that. But before we do, this show is called Beer and Horrors. So tonight we're not drinking beer. And Jesus, this is only episode 2 and we're already breaking with the fucking title. We will get to beer. We'll get to beer. But first, Ty brought a drink of his choice. So why don't you describe to the audience here what we're drinking?
Absolutely. It's well, I don't know if it's a Smith specialty, but I found it in Smith's. It's a Smirnoff Moscow Mule mix mixed in with Diet Canada Dry because I'm watching my figure.
It's classy
So it's a light Moscow Mule, but with that same alcoholic kick.
Indeed. I can already feel it. It couldn't have been the happy hour that we went to before this.
Absolutely not, no. Beer doesn't have that same kick to it.
Not
What are you
at all.
talking about?
Not at all. We'll get to a beer before the end of the episode, but cheers, my friend, to our first quote-unquote sip of this. That is good. You know, I think Moscow Mules are incredibly impressive during the summertime in Las Vegas because it's hot as fuck outside.
And it's always cold in Siberia.
Okay. Is that... I'm not sure how that relates, but that's okay.
Really? You've never heard of that saying?
Is it because of the vodka? Is that what we're talking about here?
Yeah, you've never heard that, like, that Cold War cheesy movie saying with "It's always cold in Siberia"? All right.
Can't say that I have, man.
Not all jokes can kill, I guess.
You're 0 for 1. It's a good Moscow Mule. It's refreshing when it's fucking 105 degrees out. By the way, we're sitting in my garage, mostly for the sake of my son, who's 2 years old, fucking sleeping. So we're sitting out here, sort of sweating. I'm sweating. I don't know about you guys, but it's like it's probably like 95 in the garage. Maybe not that bad. Like 85.
It's not comfortable.
It's not comfortable. One day, maybe I'll get a swamp cooler. I'm fine. All right, we're going to take a quick break, and we are going to come back to Ty's fear of clowns. I'm just kidding. It's not clowns. It's actually reaching his full potential. But it could also be clowns. He hasn't said he's not afraid of clowns. Peace.
Again, I've got a great back and forth. You just don't take advantage of it.
I'm recording now. And here we are.
Indeed. Hell, and here we are.
You do have a great fucking back and forth. By the way, this is going to get chopped up, so it's not...
Welcome back to the Quiet Hour here with Stuart Hawk and guest star Paul Tomco.
Don't be jealous that I have a fucking molasses voice.
How are you doing
like fucking gravel
tonight?
for a fucking coal pit. Oh, you bitch. I didn't even ask you to do that yet. Can you... Okay, all right, fine. You fucking popped your beer. Can you fucking explain your beer?
The best mic men know when to action instead of waiting for prompts. I'm drinking a Deschutes.
You don't even know your fucking...
Mirror Pond Pale Ale.
You popped it before you even fucking...
It's very...
You look very at the fucking back of the label.
It's
you look at
very
your calorie count.
Beer-like. It's I would
what
say
does it taste like?
Dark. It tastes darker than water than I would expect from water. It's a little darker,
like tea,
a little more dirtier.
Like tea?
No, not as
like
heavier than tea. Heavier than tea.
Like coffee.
Dirtier
like
than
coffee.
tea. Maybe like a dark coffee, but not really coffee.
Oh shit!
I mean, maybe if you put alcohol in water,
ladies and gentlemen,
you let
this
it
is
ferment.
Ty's first beer. Just so you know.
Indeed. It's delicious. This is the best syrupy water I've ever had.
Goodness gracious! You can pour it over cereal. Did you know that? You ever tried that?
Oh. That is actually happy. I was expecting less.
Sake. I told you it was going to be happy. Pale ale.
There's no need to raise your voice and swear.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to raise my voice. It's actually Ty's second beer.
Here on the Witching Hour with Ira Glass, we don't really want to discuss swear words like that and disturb our audience. We know we're here to just deliver you the cold, hard facts and the news.
You better pause longer if you're going to do that.
My name is Paul Tomco, and I'm here delivering a podcast with Stu Hawk.
That's too many breaks.
I'd say that's pretty appropriate, actually.
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
Ira Glass, if you ever hear this podcast, this is about the cadence that you talk.
Ira Glass, follow us. We're big fans. Clearly.
For some reason, Ty whipped his dick out when he said that. It was weird. Oh, God. All right, can you actually explain the beer?
All right, here.
Like
we are doing.
Let's start with the fact that this is Deschutes Mirror Pond, right?
I'm sorry. Am I explaining or are you explaining?
No, I'm giving the title.
Oh, okay.
And then you can fucking. I'll give my description later. I'm probably just gonna cut over you.
I'm just waiting.
All right, go ahead.
Go ahead. Well, as Stuart said, we're drinking
Fucking
some
Stuart.
Deschutes
Fuck is Stuart.
Mirror Pond Pale Ale. It's born in Oregon, actually, so it wasn't even made. It was birthed there, conceived there. Its mother and father had a nice trip in Portland. You know, things got a little bit hot and spicy, and it popped out a beer in a bottle.
I think Rogue and fucking something else got it on.
I'm a little concerned by the family and employee owned. I would assume that means that there's some sort of incest-born beer here going on. If it was a family business and a family affair,
You know, some people say incest is the best.
I mean, Bend, Oregon. I would be guessing then that this incestual relationship involved a lot of bending.
Goodness.
I don't know if that's too far of a reach or not. I mean, California is trying to redeem it, so it is the most liberal of states.
Why is
I think I'm a little
California?
worried.
Why is California trying to redeem it?
I don't know. It just says it's got value in California for redemption.
I think that
I'm
just
kinda
means
concerned.
what its recycling
This
value
is
is.
nothing.
I think there's a whole Seinfeld episode.
I'm enjoying this. I'm enjoying this actually. This is pretty fun. How dare you? I'm sorry.
I'm enjoying
Can,
it.
can we cut? Can we pause? No.
Absolutely
No,
not.
we got the peanut gallery over here. Okay, all right. Hey. Oh.
By the way, ladies and gentlemen, Zach is also here. We can cut this later if we need to.
Oh, he'll cut all of this, even though this is the best goddamn part of this podcast so far.
I'm not going to cut a fucking single second of this. In fact, I'm going to send it to certain people immediately.
See, after being born in Oregon from his family and being conditioned for quality, which I don't know what that means. I mean, I imagine it's some sort of cruel, sick inbreeding scenario going on.
I wouldn't
here in
expect you to
Oregon.
understand what conditioner is with your bald head.
I mean, I guess it's not conditioned from quality from a family-owned facility. That's
Your
kind
head
of
is
gross.
not quality, is basically what I'm saying.
Not inbred quality. You're absolutely right.
Well, that's debatable.
Who knew snark is not good back and forth in a podcast?
No, I think a little bit of silence is all right sometimes.
No, I agree. I agree with the peanut gallery here. I don't think snark's a good back and forth in the podcast. I think you need to cut this section. All right.
Ladies and
Cut
gentlemen,
action.
welcome to my guest. And we're back. Just kidding. No, we're not fucking cutting that last section.
Hey, everybody. Do you like auditory gold? Well, wait till I present you not that.
I am a big fan of what you've just said so many times over.
Indeed.
I'm happy. I'm happy. All right.
This is your podcast, my friend.
Yeah.
I'm just here as a guest.
Look, I am super happy that you've come by. By the way, my house is super out of the way for most people who live in Las Vegas. So the fact that Ty has come, it's good. It's good on him. It's good on him.
It's pretty out of the way.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. It's out there. All right. Enough. Fuck's sake. Enough. God damn it. Now you're doing hand gestures. No one can see that. No one even knows what the fuck you're doing.
Well, like the M. You know, out of the way.
Goodness gracious. All right. Did we ever actually describe this beer? It's fucking Deschutes Mirror Pond. It's not an incestual beer as far as we're aware.
you know what,
it could be, but I'm not saying that it is.
After you, I mean, the Deschutes marketing people will probably want to hear you describe it.
Like the proof negative is just impossible. So that's like I don't know if President Trump has ever jerked off into his own mouth. I'm not sure if that's ever happened. I can't prove that he hasn't.
This will all be cut. Absolutely be cut. There's no way he's keeping this. And his non-political show, there's no way
This
he's
is where
keeping it.
Ty is wrong.
Yeah.
This isn't political. This is just has President Trump jerked off into his own mouth. I'm not sure.
Indeed.
I can't prove that he has or he has not. So prove a negative, man.
Indeed.
Anyway, you enjoy this beer?
Yeah, it's okay. It's not great. Doesn't really blow my mind.
Good.
I mean, where you said hoppy, I mean, I guess it's hoppy for what I would be expecting a pale ale, but it's not something I would go out and drink on the regular.
You wouldn't drink it on the reg?
No, not on the reg.
Good.
For my beers and whores, I wouldn't be drinking it on the reg.
Fantastic. All right. Let's get back to it. Let's get back to what fucking scared you.
Is there any like cut in between here? We're just gonna riff
just
until
going, man.
we get to it. Okay.
No, we're just going.
All right.
You got to leave in like 10 minutes. 9 o'clock, dude.
Worst case, I got time. I got 17 minutes. They, if you saw the videos, they're apparently humping each other to pop balloons on their butts. I don't know what's going on over there.
Jesus.
It's a shit show. I'm not invited to those parties. I don't know. I'll just accept it as part of the culture, I guess.
Your context-free quote of the day, folks. Or
Indeed.
quote of the day, folks. It's popping balloons on their butts. You have no idea what we're talking about. Anyway, so what scares you?
That this podcast has gone on so long without a cut. No.
We're going to go to a break, folks. And we're fucking back. And we just told Ty to talk less.
Indeed.
He's talking too much. No. Actually, it's fucking fantastic because I think that Ty has done an incredible job not giving us any information about the beer that we're drinking, but sort of building up what is kind of scaring you. I'm getting the sense that it doesn't scare you that much.
No. My descriptions of the beer is just all an allegory for my fear. I mean, it's absolutely
shit.
It's just what is the point of anything if we're going to take a really deep dive into nihilism?
Oh, damn. Okay.
What is the point of tasting a beer and reviewing it? It is just water with some hops and barley mixed in.
Okay.
But
well,
no, I would, though, in all seriousness, I would say that probably our topic is still one of my larger fears. If I had to really pick and delve into a fear that bothers me and might keep me up at night or might keep me awake and from sleeping.
okay, let me just jump into one of the tactical things that you just said, and then we'll go deep.
Sure.
So you said, what's the point of this podcast? Which, no, I'm not saying my podcast. I'm just saying, just in general, do you think that there's any fucking aliens out there who this could be broadcast to?
So I'll comment on that, but I would like to rewind and just clarify. Did I say what is the point of this podcast, or what is the point of reviewing this beer? Either way, though. So if we're discussing the point of this podcast,
Call me out. Goodness gracious.
So indeed,
All right.
no. It's a valid question. So if we're discussing what is the point of this podcast if alien life exists and is listening in on all of the broadcasts of Earth, and of all the broadcasts of Earth, they hear us discussing this terrible review of a beer in this garage.
We're going to be the last people that they hear.
We might be, but at least there's that data now in the sound waves.
And now they'll know.
someday, Ty Tomco and Stu Hawk will live on in their ear zones or their auditory memory in some sort of fashion.
In their irrespect of fucking Moscow Mules and like lack of enthusiasm for Mirror Pond Pale Ale.
So maybe my fear is unwarranted because I will be an immortal and I will be thus unto the gods, because this auditory representation of my vocalization and thoughts will be projected into the stars and live on forever. And at some point in time, it will influence any sort of being, whether it be a single-cell bacteria or a highly developed functional alien listening to this podcast and then getting some sort of revelatory life experience and changing their entire outlook.
Like your fucking audio wave somehow impregnates like this weird fucking single-cell organism out in like 3 galaxies away, and all of a sudden there's a Ty Tomco impregnated.
Well, it's
with
not
no
even
father,
that.
by the way. Thank you very much.
A great oversimplification of it. I'm simply saying. So we theorize that there are single cell organisms under
What if you
the
could be
seas
impregnated
of
by
Titan.
waves?
I mean, sounds like a hell of a ride. I don't know what to tell you. And if I could be impregnated by waves, why have I not already had a few kids by now?
I don't think you have a uterus.
Well, then, so single cell organisms do.
Possibly.
They have one cell.
Maybe that one cell's a uterus. I mean, look, man. Maybe it's just a uterus floating around in space.
So before we continue on, because I feel like we've lost the plot a little bit, and I absolutely do appreciate the path that we've traveled through the stars, and how in some way I've influenced a being on Titan to develop from a single cell organism into a goddamn functioning superior species that will conquer the stars in some day.
The great filter.
Why don't we get back to our beers and horrors topic? Where
Goodness. All right. Well, this whole thing is a beers and horrors topic.
It is. So the beer itself, we've already discussed that and how existentially I just don't.
Would you like a different beer?
I mean,
we've got another beer.
No, it's fine.
Deschutes, Ty wants another beer. He doesn't like your beer.
I jokingly say these things. It's not a bad beer. For a pale ale, it's a little bit more hoppy than I would expect, or I would be anticipating.
What about Sierra Nevada? That's a pale ale. Do you like Sierra Nevada better?
I do enjoy Sierra Nevada, but Sierra Nevada Torpedo is kind of where I would cut my teeth for the happiness.
Torpedo's intense.
It is.
That's an intense beer.
That was my very first IPA experience, and it kind of made me fall in love with IPAs. It killed my taste buds and made me really enjoy the hoppy flavor of IPAs.
And you've never tasted coffee since then?
I drink black coffee only nowadays. A few cups a day. Yeah. Can't drink it with sugar. It just ruins it, dilutes it.
That's exactly right.
It deshoots it.
Welcome to the world of no flavor. All right, so Ty, you've continued on.
Yes. So are we getting into the fears and the crises, or are we still on the beer?
Well, we've kind of tried to direct you, but you can't really be directed. So you tell me where you want to go.
I refuse to believe that because you asked me to discuss what I feel about this podcast going into the stars and my feelings on it. And I was trying to give you a legitimate feeling on it, and I was cut off a little bit. But in all fairness, it's fine. It's fine.
Sorry. That's fair.
I thought we said no cuts. We're just going to do a dry run.
We're doing a dry run.
Right, good.
I'm recording this whole damn thing.
Good. So
we're going.
Ira Glass. So, if we're actually discussing legitimate fears or concerns of mine, I would say, as a student of history, something that's always bothered me is not having an impact, or rather, no matter what I do in life, it will not influence or impact anything for very long after I am gone. And I know it's a fear that a lot of us deal with. I know it's a fear that arguably everybody at some point in time, in some manner of speaking, does deal with. I would say it's probably one of my biggest, just because within all of my experience, my passion for history, you do read about that percentage of those people who would stand the test of time, but there's such a small percentage of people, and you really don't hear about a lot of other success stories throughout history, even though they really overall didn't fail and they did an absolutely great job, but it just didn't hit that threshold of impactfulness.
That's interesting, because one of the things that I even heard today was like, can you name the guy who cured fucking polio?
Cut that. No, actually,
there are a lot of people who can. I know, but yes,
you're absolutely right. But after drinking, I'm not sure. I could probably tell you without drinking, and if I had a little bit more of a clear mindset. But no, you're absolutely right.
But who's the biggest piece of shit pop star of all time with a windswept hairdo from Canada?
How dare you talk shit about Tupac like that?
Oh, Jesus. Is he Canadian? No, it's fair. Okay. So my point's not proven, but sort of proven. Anyway, so let me ask you this. There are two schools of thought, I think, where what you just mentioned is, are you remembered? Like, are you remembered for the things that you do? Are you member berries? What about consciousness on the other side of it? Do you care if in 100 years you still have consciousness?
So it's a good question. It's one that clearly we cannot answer. In a way, yes and no. So I have to say yes, because clearly everybody cares about consciousness. Nobody wants it to end. I mean, even at the end of the day, even people who deal with these problems and they do want life to end, I mean, that's them looking for an out, but there's still possibly a hope or a chance that there is some sort of consciousness, whether it be the Christian torture in hell and then the reward of heaven, or it could be just even like this Zen paradise, or just everyone's in this void, either accepting their mistakes, seeing their lives, or enjoying all the happiness of it. If we went into Mormon culture, things like that. I personally, I wouldn't say I'm totally in disbelief of it, especially growing up Catholic and being raised that way. I would say, though,
Were you raised Catholic?
I was raised Catholic.
All the way through high school?
All the way through high school. I even the first year after I had to move back with my parents in college, when I got academically suspended, I had to be Catholic. Okay. I had to go to college.
You can't just pass over that.
Oh well.
What were you academically suspended for? What did you do?
It's actually a very simple story. I partied too much in college because I went to college in Las Vegas, 3,000 miles away from where I grew up.
That's something that every single fucking person, I think, who's 17 years old and considers college.
You're absolutely right, but not every single person.
And you party too much in Las Vegas when you're 18 years old.
Not every single person, though, gets a 0.7 GPA in their first year, gets suspended by the university, but then works their ass off through community college, gets those credits, and then comes back and still graduates in 4 years to get their degree, which is both a point of shame and pride that I have.
Fucking champion. Well done.
Both a point of shame and pride I have.
Cheers, my fucking empty
Indeed.
bottle. Well done.
You got another one you can open right here.
Yeah, fantastic.
Right here.
Yeah, so we're talking about fuck. Look, Ty, I think is going to be my fucking co-host at some point. He handles the audio better than I do.
Everybody needs a Tenzing Norgay on their climb to Mount Everest.
Except you live like fucking 20 minutes away from me. That's the only problem.
Our own Mount Everest.
Indeed. All right, so I interrupted you.
No, you're fine. And again, I honestly, I don't think any of my ideas on this are original. I think a lot of people struggle with this when they try to think about an afterlife, and is there anything truly after we die, or if it's just oblivion where nothing matters, we lose that consciousness and nothing happens. I can't truly say that I know. Would I be leaning towards, do I want a consciousness or do I want it to be oblivion and ending? I would probably say I lean towards that ending, just because I feel like sitting around with a consciousness for eternity after a very finite time on this earth both defies the laws of nature and just almost seems ironically torturous in its own way.
So this is something I think about a lot too, and let me just tell you what I believe, because this is the idea that I formulated probably just to appease my own mind, just to make myself feel better. But here's the reality, that we don't know what consciousness is, and there are so many particles and waves in the universe. There is a finite number, right? But we also understand that there is infinity. So and here's a thought experiment for you. If you named the highest number that you could possibly think of, it will always be closer to zero than it will be to infinity. So the human mind can't grasp infinity. There's no fucking way for the human mind to grasp infinity.
And you're absolutely right. My counterpoint, if I can interrupt here, because that
I
is
haven't
a very
even made
good
my
point.
points. I don't know where your counterpoint is, but
my counterpoint is there is a limit to the human imagination as well.
Sure.
There's also a limit to human intelligence and the human mind. So you're absolutely right. There could be a consciousness, which is not what I'm saying. I'm simply stating I don't feel like feasibly with what we know and what we're actually able to be proving with science or anything else, it's hard to say that there is an immortality awaiting us after we die.
So I agree, and so your counterpoint is fucking invalid. By the way, I crossed it out already.
All right.
I'm kidding, but so my point actually is that I think that there is always going to be an expansion and a retraction of the universe. I think that's always going to be the case. And I think that the universe is something that we are totally unaware of, and that it's always going to fucking expand and retract as many times as we could possibly count. I'm talking about infinity. And so at some point, and I'm not talking about trillions, I'm talking about whatever number of years is beyond trillion, is beyond that next level. Eventually, the physics of our particles and of our waves will get put back together in the exact same version of us, and we will consistently live, not necessarily the exact same lives, but the exact same humanity. Because let's be honest, unless you're religious, and I'm not calling out anyone who's religious here, because I think religion is perfectly fine. I happen to not necessarily be religious, but I think that people who believe in religion are perfectly fine. My understanding and everything that I've learned, I don't believe that there is an afterlife, but I do believe in physics, and I do believe that something has created my consciousness. Whatever that fucking perfect combination of waves and particles have somehow created me specifically. And when we think about infinity, and when we think about the universe will be around for infinity somehow, in some way, these particles aren't going away. Well, we'll be back.
So, and let me interrupt here. Let me cut you off here, Stu. So
That's why I paused.
I love the philosophy hour with Stuart Hawk.
Oh yeah.
But and maybe me saying nihilism is my fear.
Any number of
Absolutely. But maybe me saying nihilism is my fear opened the door to this. I'll accept that. Granted, I do not think that we have all the hours to debate this. This is a very, very broad topic that has so many different takes, and at the end of the day, it's a philosophical debate.
You're not a quantum physics professional who understands and can answer this question within an hour?
I don't think a quantum physics professional could answer this question in an hour.
Well, why the fuck did I even have
I don't think a quantum physics professional could answer this in their lifetime.
Christ. I thought you were going to be able to answer this.
You're absolutely right. You know, I don't think a quantum physics professional could answer this in their lifetime. But they could take. Hey, you know what? This guy with his liberal arts degree and this guy with his marketing degree can certainly fucking try.
I try every time I drink.
Indeed.
I try to get to the bottom of it. Every time I drink.
This time on the Witching Hour with Stu Hawk, we decided to discuss philosophy.
That I'm going to cut. I'm going to cut that. All right. So we should probably wrap up because this has been fantastic. But I want to give you a little bit of time if you want to fucking close off with what bothered you and maybe even what you liked.
No.
What'd you like?
What did I like with what? Are we talking about the beer or are we talking about nihilism?
Both. Do you like anything about nihilism?
I love nihilism. Why didn't we just start with this topic? Jesus.
Why didn't you?
No, I like the format. It's pretty enjoyable discussing.
Not the podcast. No,
I don't
want to talk about that.
And I'm not even discussing the podcast. I'm discussing our conversation.
Okay.
I realize I dug us into a hole and that we will not be able to cover this conversation in one podcast. So you're going to script and cut and edit this as much as you want. You will not have a clue.
Blaine DeLuca just said nuclear proliferation. That's an easy one to cover.
You're absolutely right.
We just talk about nuclear bombs, the history of nukes.
I'm not an engineer. I don't choose to take the easy way out to solve things.
Oh shit! Oh damn! I'm gonna have you guys on together.
I don't mind it. I enjoy it.
You guys are gonna fucking shout.
I welcome it. But no, it was enjoyable. I enjoyed having the beer. Did I get through my? I mean, I think I exemplified my point. I don't think I got to my allegory for it, but I don't mind. I think the point.
Do you want to give your allegory?
Absolutely not.
You're welcome.
At this point in the podcast, no. It feels like I'm just adding frosting to the cupcake. No, I'm just adding. It's too much at this point in the time.
Come on.
A long time ago.
Oh, here we go.
Galaxy far away.
Yes.
No, we'll get in the story next time. No.
All right.
Because I do feel like it is a good story, but it also needs to be applicable and relevant. And I don't want to throw that in here right at the end as the cut scene.
I could throw it at the beginning.
Well, that would make this all cut and screwed up, and I kind of like the format right now. You can end the podcast like this.
That's fine. All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, Ty, thanks for coming, my friend.
Absolutely.
Much
No,
appreciated.
I do enjoy having philosophical discussions. I mean, if we want to get into some fears and talk about spiders and how they're just crazy climbing land crabs, I'm totally down for that too next time.
Jesus Christ, that's my worst fear.
I mean,
This is on a fucking horror podcast. You talk about aliens, nuclear bombs, or spiders. I'm going to pick spiders every fucking time.
if you magnified their legs, they've got little pinchers. They're basically just tiny land crabs at this point that shoot out goop out of their butts.
No, for fuck's sake. That's not helpful for my sleep tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you.
Did you know a spider is never less than 3 feet away from you, no matter where you go on this planet?
That's on average. Just fucking say on
So
average.
on average,
On average.
So Stuart, since people in Antarctica have
Stop
no
calling me
spiders,
Stuart.
all right,
That's
fine.
fucking weird.
Stu. Since people in Antarctica don't have any spiders near them, how many spiders are near you right now?
Yeah, I think like Africa and South America like really deviate that whole.
That's a very entitling, like American theory on that
Jesus
one.
Christ. Now he's calling me a racist.
No, just entitlist.
This is gonna go on bonus content, by the way. This is what you get when you like fucking subscribe on Patreon.
Tasty bonuses.
Tasty bonuses.
Dividends.
All right, Ty, just put your mouth over my dick.
Boner. Boner.
So happy that I started recording when you did that. All right, hey folks.